Donald Trump just gave one of the most chaotic and downright delusional speeches ever in front of the United States Navy. What was supposed to be a 250th anniversary commemoration turned into a full-blown MAGA rally. Because of course he starts with his favorite bedtime story, that the 2020 election was rigged. You'd think after being convicted and exposed he'd move on. But no, he's still stuck in 2020.
Because I was president in 2016, and then they rigged the election on me. And then we caught him, didn't we? We caught him, but you know, we had to run it again. I ran it again, and I got 250, and I got the World Cup, and I got the Olympics. Can you believe all of it?
Yeah, Donald. Everyone except the courts, the judges you appointed, and your own Justice Department. It's beyond pathetic. Then he goes off about Vietnam and Afghanistan like he's some wartime genius, conveniently forgetting that he dodged the draft 5 separate times.
Deployed a brand new unit, the Navy SEALs, to tear up Mekong River Delta. Problem with Vietnam, we stopped fighting to win. We would have won easy. We would have won Afghanistan easy. Would have won every war easy. But we got politically correct. Let's take it easy. We're not politically correct anymore, just so you understand. We win. Now we win.
This is coming from the guy who literally faked bone spurs to avoid service, and he's lecturing actual soldiers about courage. Unreal. Then he straight up calls Democrats a gnat on our shoulder in front of active duty service members.
We have to take care of this little gnat that's on our shoulder called the Democrats. They want to give all of our money to illegal aliens that pour into the country. And you know, I have a bigger heart than they do, but the problem is when you do that, they come in by the millions. Everybody wants that, so you can't do it. But I've also pledged the largest ever investment in our military's history. We're spending over $1 trillion. We've never had anything like that before. $1 trillion on our military, and that includes, along with your Secretary of the Navy and Pete Hegseth, we're going to be building lots of ships and doing a lot of things that you haven't seen happen for 35 years.
He's turning a military address into a partisan attack rally. That's not leadership. That's a wannabe dictator looking for applause. Then, because he can't go 5 minutes without talking about President Obama, he does this. And yes, it's as cringe as it sounds.
A man that everybody loves. He was my doctor in the White House, and I got to know him very well. He was also the doctor for Barack Hussein Obama. Have you heard of him? And he was a doctor for a man named Bush. And at a press conference, they asked him, who's in the best shape? Who's the healthiest? Who's the strongest? Who's the best physical specimen of the three? He said, that's easy. President Donald Trump. And I said, I love this guy. I said, I love him.
Imagine being this insecure at nearly 80. Nobody believes you're in better shape than Obama, Don. Nobody. Then he just randomly starts asking if there are any Japanese people here, like he forgot where he was.
Man in history, I don't like to talk about it too much now. You know, they've been a nice ally, but anybody from Japan here right now? We'll get off the subject immediately. But think of it, sent more tonnage to the bottom of the sea, one after one.
It's giving confused uncle at Thanksgiving, totally unhinged and totally off script. Then he admits it outright, that he's using the U.S. Navy as a prop for his campaign. So much for honoring the Navy. He turned a 250th anniversary event into another MAGA circus.
I thank a group of women from North Carolina. Look at these great. Will you stand up, please? These beautiful women have followed me. This is number 151. You could call a rally. This is sort of a rally. Let's face it, this is a rally. This is a speech of love. We all love our country. But that group is from North Carolina. They're up to about 151 visits. They have a whole group of them. I never see their husbands. I don't know what's going on with their husbands. I assume, do they still love you, the husbands? Yes, good. But I want to thank you. 151, they've been following me since 2016, and you look even better now than you did then. But I want to thank you very much. It's a really group. They love our country. They like Trump, but you know what they really do? They love our country.
Then he lies again, calling it a Democrat-induced shutdown. No, Donald, it's your shutdown. You and your MAGA cronies are the ones blocking everything while pretending to be the saviors.
It's our nation's capital, and that has to be clean, beautiful, and safe. The U.S. Navy always stands for America. As your commander-in-chief, I will always stand for you. I promise you that. You know that. That's why you voted for me in numbers that nobody's ever seen before. And I want you to know that despite the current Democrat-induced shutdown, we will get our service members every last penny. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
Then things get absolutely deranged. He claims he deserves credit for 9/11. I'm not kidding. This man treats national tragedy like a reality TV moment.
And please remember, I wrote about Osama bin Laden exactly 1 year ago, 1 year before he blew up the World Trade Center. And I said, you got to watch Osama bin Laden. And the fake news would never let me get away with that statement unless it was true. But I said 1 year before to Pete Hegseth, I said 1 year before, where's Pete? In the book, I wrote, whatever the hell the title, I can't tell you. But I can tell you there's a page in there devoted to the fact that I saw somebody named Osama bin Laden, and I didn't like it, and you got to take care of him. They didn't do it. A year later, he blew up the World Trade Center, so we got to take a little credit because nobody else is going to give it to me. You know the old story? They don't give you credit, just take it yourself.
Then he brags about renaming the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. Yeah, sure. And next week he's renaming Canada to Trump North. Completely made up, but he says it with confidence.
Defense at Department of War, as I said, and we have changed the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America. That was easy. That was an easy one. You know, for years I've looked at it, and I added it up, and I figured we have 92% of the frontage. I say, how come we call it the Gulf of Mexico? I mean, I wouldn't say that Mexico is thrilled with me, but what are you going to do? It's the Gulf of America, and I love it now. I was watching the other night a report, and they said very routinely, in the Gulf of America, this is the, you know, they just went on to talk about it. They didn't do it with a smirk or a smile. They didn't say, in the Gulf of America. No, it's called the Gulf of America now, and nobody's playing games with it. We got sued by the Associated Press, and they lost. In fact, the judge was so good, he said, he's calling it the Gulf of America. He's got all the approvals. You have to do that, too, to the very liberal Associated Press. They got thrown out of court. In fact, they're almost not allowed to cover me anymore because of that. It was a big hit. So I'm very proud of that.
And finally, he ends by bragging that the U.S. military is blowing up boats off Venezuela with no verification and no evidence.
Recent weeks, the Navy has supported our mission to blow the cartel terrorists the hell out of the water. You see that? And you know, there are no boats in the water anymore. We can't find any. We're having a hard time finding them. But you know, it's a pretty tough thing we've been doing, but you have to think of it this way. Every one of those boats is responsible for the death of 25,000 American people and the destruction of families. So when you think of it that way, what we're doing is actually an act of kindness. But we did another one last night. Now we just can't find any. You know, it's the old story. We're so good at it that there are no boats. In fact, even fishing boats, nobody wants to go into the water anymore. Sorry to tell you that. But it's we're stopping drugs coming into America, if that's okay. We're stopping drugs at a level that nobody's ever seen before.